Good morning, UU Society. My name is the Reverend Sharon Dittmar. I've been to your congregation, your beautiful new building in person. I know some of your members, and it's a delight to offer you online worship this morning with a pre-recorded sermon. I choose to be married to amazement. I chose actually other ideas first. For example, I tried preparing for the worst, but it didn't protect me from what could and actually did go wrong. Turns out I actually wasn't imaginative enough. And beyond that, it was actually just exhausting and depressing. I mean, I had to remain vigilant, focused on doomed potential futures. That's a lot of worrying that goes nowhere. After that, I actually tried denial, and that got me into flat out trouble, not attending to the obvious and the necessary. Much later in my life, I chose a middle way that I like to try and keep to this day, where I'm aware of the valley of loss and pain. It's always potentially there on one side. And then every gift and opportunity also always potentially with us on the other side. And then somewhere in the wide middle, a chosen path of being present with wonder, gratitude, amazement. The great Dr. Abraham Joshua Heschel said in his Yom Kippur essay, scratch the skin of any person and you come across sorrow, frustration, unhappiness. People are pretentious. Everybody looks proud. Inside, they are heartbroken. From the inside seat of 18 years of parish ministry, actually 19 years, I observed members and their families struggle with life-threatening illnesses, with addiction, with affairs, financial ruin, traumatic injury and accidents, dementia, even the death of children, which I will just never fully understand. It all can happen. I have been with people as it all happened. And it was from this seat, journeying with these teachers, the members, that I learned I could never fully prepare for all possibilities, nor actually know which ones to expect when, if ever, might become part of my personal story. Early in my ministry, I remember visiting an older couple in the hospital. You have to imagine baby minister me 30 years ago, no gray hair, not yet ordained, in a chaplain residency program. The woman said to me, looking at her dying husband, how could this happen to us? We were missionaries. I remember simultaneously realizing death is inevitable and uncontrollable, a hungry, barren autumn, and that no good works nor benevolent God offers immortality in this life. I also realized, looking into her grieving face, that there's nothing for me to say other than, I am sorry. This must be hard, so hard for you. And then I just sat with her. Bad things happen to good people, and wonderful things happen to people who behave very badly. And everything, every possible combination of some parts of that in between. From this, I've concluded that neither I nor anyone else is fully in control. There we have it. Rather, we are in a river of life. And there are floods and droughts and lazy calm days and flashing storms and seasonal changes. And we can put up some guardrails like, life insurance, wills, such things. We can ask for help as often as we need it, even to the quote annoyance of others, whether they be financial planners, therapists, or medical providers. But when the lights go out, when the hungry bear comes, we will not have prepared for everything. Attempting to be fully prepared is impossible. It would require that constant depressing vigilance I told you about. It would be a deadening way to live and a great way to ruin the possible beautiful now. Some years ago, I took part in a local leadership program, and we were asked to do an exercise that I actually hated. We were instructed to walk around to 30 people we had just met, look them in the eye and say either, I trust you or I don't trust you. I know neither the benefit nor the purpose of this exercise. I certainly remember its multiple cringeworthy moments and the response of one classmate. This one classmate, the shortest man in the class, one who could be considered vulnerable given his stature, I mean his size, who had to look up to everyone, said, "I trust you." He said that to everyone he encountered. And when the instructor later asked him why, he replied, "It doesn't matter actually if I trust you. I trust myself. And I trust myself to figure it out. So I trust you." He changed the frame of the entire exercise to empower himself. Much later, I learned that he grew up as an immigrant in a biracial family amidst poverty and multiple challenges, and then made a series of mistakes like many of us do. And he still figured it out. These days, he does not waste time remaining vigilant and worrying about the future. He chooses to name his frame and believes that when problems arise, he will figure it out. And every time I have seen him encounter a problem, he's figured it out. And he actually chooses to live loud and proud in the present and have fun. He is one of those enthusiastic party people, one of the most enthusiastic people. And it became clear to me over time that this is a choice he makes, not based on ignorance or a life of swimming privilege, but knowledge and commitment to the present and belief in himself. It is amazing to me how one awkward exercise I was still would not ask anyone else to do could unexpectedly teach me the importance of choosing my own frame, the power actually to choose my own frame. What I learned from all these teachers I told you about, whether they be members or this person I met in a leadership class or a couple in a hospital, is to love the now, to dig deeply into it and savor it, make time for fun and friends and family, for building community, living into one's own joy, celebrating those hobbies, relishing the uniqueness of you. When I became a minister, I used to see this quote by the writer and literature professor Joseph Campbell everywhere I turned. You probably did too if you're of a certain age. "Follow your bliss." I don't see this quote on walls anymore, but Campbell was onto something. In the words of theologian and civil rights leader Howard Thurman, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do that, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. What makes me come alive is wonder, is living married to amazement. I find it in the present, the eternal now. When death comes like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me and snaps the purse shut, when death comes like the measles pox, when death comes like an iceberg between the shoulder blades, I want to step through the door full of curiosity, wondering, what's it going to be like, that cottage of darkness? And therefore I look upon everything as a siblinghood, and I look upon time as no more than an idea, and I consider eternity as another possibility. And I think of each life as a flower, as common as a field daisy, and as singular. In each name a comfortable music in the mouth, tending as all music does, toward silence. In each body a lion of courage and something precious to the earth. When it's over, I want to say, all my life, I was married to amazement. I took the world into my arms. When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I've made of my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened or full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. I want to be, as I told you, married to amazement. I want to take the world in my arms. I don't want to just be a visitor or a guest. I want to go out and submerge myself in this wonder. To do this, I must take one day at a time. I can't rush things, can't multitask. I have to live into the present. For example, when I go out walking, I do a simple exercise taught to me by my colleague, the Reverend Phil Lund. I consider sight, sound, smell, sense, sky, and stance. I look at my surroundings, I look at them, I listen. I inhale deeply for scent. I feel the air on my skin. Is it humid? Is it crisp? I look at the sky and I feel my body. How am I walking? And please, if you try this, adapt this exercise to whatever level of mobility and sensory function available to you. Even if there is but one of these that works for you, you can still take part. You know, I used to walk with my head down, lost in thought, kind of like this. Generally, I was thinking about the past or worrying about the future, like you do, or at least like I did. And with this exercise, though, I'm in the present. I smell rain in the air, you know, or decaying earth that lets me know summer is ending. I see the leaves drop, and then I know it's fall. I watch buds with new flowers in the springtime. Smell the rain on the air. When walking with me these days, one needs to put up with the shouts of delight as I see things, as I hear, as I smell, as I touch leaves when I walk by. In fact, I was walking out with a friend recently and I was like, oh, look at the beautiful cornfield. And she's like, Sharon, I'm from Iowa. It's just a cornfield. And I'm like, but look how beautiful it is in the light. She's like, I'm from Iowa. I'm like, well, I'm from Ohio and it's still beautiful here today. Because it was beautiful in the moment. And yes, I've probably seen millions of cornfields. Sometimes when I go out on these walks, I check my stance. That's always an easy one for me. Like I'll go out and I'll be like, I'm limping. Why am I limping? And when this happens, I check in more deeply. Like, how is it with my body? Am I like holding my gut all tight? Is my neck slumped back? What's going on with me? Am I present to my body, my feelings? Not only in my heart, but how my body feels. And at least once on every walk, I look up to the sky. Is it clear blue? Is it fully overcast, foggy gray? Or are there puffy evening clouds with a breakthrough last shaft of pink light? Just lovely. It's when I look at the sky that I'm filled actually with the most wonder. And I think of what a gift it is to be alive and how everything changes. Every walk is a new discovery, new adventure, even if it is on the same path. And I am reminded that every moment passes, every moment, the bad ones, the good ones, the great ones too. This has taught me to be grateful for what is. If anything is good now, I'm grateful for it. I mean, there's problems, but what's good? And to remember that nothing lasts, so to honor the now and to give and receive love where I find it right now. I remind myself nothing is given, nothing, and to reach out for what is now. I don't want to mislead you, though, into thinking that because I choose wonder, it is all wonderful all the time. I have losses and grief too. I'm scared about the state of American democracy, the war in Ukraine. I worry about deforestation and species extinction and armed rebels, the M23 and the Democratic Republic of Congo. I worry about the over-incarceration of Black, brown, and poor people in the United States and my spectacularly crabby and physically failing mother. While writing this sermon, actually in the middle of writing it, I learned that a dear friend from long ago had died. Someone who changed my life for good is now gone. I too am scared. I too spend time heartbroken. 19th century essayist and philosopher Henry David Thoreau wrote about wanting to, quote, suck out all the marrow of life. For him, this included living a quiet, he called it self-reliant life on Walden Pond in Concord, Massachusetts. I say he called it because he had a lot of help when he was living in Walden Pond. Don't be deceived. He had help. My definition is a bit different from his, but I too understand wanting to suck the marrow out of life in my own chosen way. I recently watched a video by slam poet Andrea Gibson. In it, they speak of going home with a woman, and before their first kiss, the woman runs to get a stethoscope so that Andrea can hear the woman's heartbeat faster when they kiss. The story is just so beautiful to me. What a delightful way to suck the marrow out of life with one kiss, the first kiss. It is so present to the moment, so simple, so beautiful, so blissful and alive. Here's a tweet from Andrea Gibson from just a few months ago. Awkwardness is my new drug of choice. Nothing gets me higher than uncomfortable situations. In today's newsletter, I wrote about how I've been on a mission to embarrass myself regularly. Have a beautiful, awkward day, everyone. Heart emoji. Their newsletter from September 13th contains this story. Years ago on tour in Europe, my friends and I dared our friend Katie to walk through a crowded travel plaza with a 20-foot strand of toilet paper dragging from her shoe, complaining loudly in a deep Midwestern accent about how there was no place in the world good as America. She made a humiliating spectacle of herself. We were on high on that embarrassment all day. There are so many ways to live in wonder and bliss, whether it is to be awesomely awkward, to be alive as the world collides around us. I hope for each of us, to take care during these hard times in this holiday season with so many stretches and stresses, but also some time for often some good moments. I hope you reach for the present wonder as often as possible. Maybe even experiment with humiliating spectacle and awkwardness. Don't worry if you drop something on holiday. Don't worry if the roast is ruined, the glass broken. Don't worry if you fall off the steps. Don't worry. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. And however you do it, make it a great day. May it always be so.